Welcome back to Esoteric Om. It is June 26th of Wednesday. It's been about 2 weeks since my last video. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you all for your comments, your encouragement, your support. It really means a lot, to know that there are other people that are on this journey, going through these experiences that are into this type of thing. So thank you. I need to get better at responding to comments quickly, timely, but I really do appreciate it. This has been a passion project of mine, and to see how people respond to it has been a real blessing. So thank you. I really appreciate it. So it's a Wednesday, Mercury. Tonight we're going to talk about something actually a more serious topic, and it's it was a suggestion by a couple subscribers, and I don't know if it's appropriate to shout out, so I won't, but thank you for your input. Thank you for asking questions about this, suggesting this. There's a couple topics that I've kind of not gone into, but it's time. So tonight we're going to talk about Angels of Wrath by Gordon Winterfield. Wield the magic of darkness with the power of light. So it's a gallery magic book. Gordon Winterfield is, I want to say, probably the most veteran or one of the most experienced members, kind of how they refer to him. He does have another book, Magical Attack. He also wrote Demons of Magic, so he definitely deals more with the darker aspect of things. And attack magic is one of those things. Attack magic is it's a touchy subject. It's definitely a slippery slope. So, but if other people are asking about it, and from what I can tell from the people who watch this channel, it seems like they're really good people. Like, there's been a lot of kind of apprehension about working with demons, which I completely get. I completely understand that. People seem to be wanting to make the right decisions, to do the right thing. So let's talk about it. Attack magic, and let me preface this by saying that, it does deal with angels. It doesn't, you're not working with demons, you are working with angels, and angels can be wrathful. Just like if you look at the Bible, there's certain angels that were sent to kind of destroy cities and cause all this stuff. So it is somewhat of a misconception that angels are all love and light and can't do these things. The first thing I'll say is when I was, I spent a lot of time yesterday on a Tuesday, on a Mars day, kind of pondering this topic, because I feel like it's important and I don't want to miss anything that might be valuable. This is one of maybe the fourth or fifth magic book that I got. I got it in 2019, so I've had it for about 5 years. Even me holding this book up, when I picked it up, when I was looking for it, to kind of read through my notes, I get this, not like a sulfury feeling, but almost like a transmission, like a cringly, like you can feel a certain vibration from it, and that makes me realize A, how powerful it is, and B, what we're dealing with. Whenever you decide to use something like this, it's best that it's a last ditch effort. So I am by no means against defending yourself. I think that we all have the right to defend ourselves, our loved ones, our property to a degree. And I kind of grew up in a very conservative Christian household, so I have a lot of that bless your enemies, turn the other cheek mentality. And then I also started in martial arts in my teens, where it was like, okay, if someone is going to leave a scar, break a bone, or if someone is going to just take your eye, take two. So I have kind of both those paradigms, but I tend to always try and shy away from any sort of harm or attack or anything like that. It's just always the last option on the table. But we live in a world where there's a lot of evil, corruption. I don't really like using the word sin, but sin. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of abuse. There's a lot of these things, and I do believe that it is our right to be able to defend ourselves. There's humans that are horrible humans, and there's non-humans, or spiritual forces that are not that good. So that's on the level of reality, the 3D. I do believe that on the grand level, we're all connected in some way. So you do want to be careful, because I do believe that what you do to another person in some way affects you. But if you're in a situation, you have a real quote unquote enemy who's trying to harm you, who's trying to destroy you, or those that you love, I do believe having something like this available, not only as a deterrent, but also almost like having it means you are less likely to have to use it, knowing that it exists. So attack magic is really nothing to play with. You have to be really certain about what you want to do, what you're okay with. Look at your own internal code of ethics and morality and say, am I okay doing this? And typically, if it's something that you feel that strongly about, then it's more of a form of justice. Not that we should all be dispensers of justice, but sometimes you are the hand of fate in some ways. Sometimes in a situation where there's no other option, where you've exhausted every option, this person will not leave you alone, this person, you're worried for your life, stuff like that. Very, very serious things. It's an option. It's an option. So far we've talked about protection. I tend to want to keep this channel more focused on, the lighter side of things, but yeah, it's necessary. And if other people are in situations where they need to go to these places and curse, for lack of a better word, or send a magical attack, I at least want to try and give you my input on it. So I would say, is there such thing as a karmic kickback? Are you gonna, is the rule of do no harm? It's a general rule of thumb, and it's a pretty good one. The author and a lot of other people seem to think there isn't. That only if you have that belief, yes, you'll experience some backlash or something, but that it's really just a belief thing. That no, there's plenty of injustices in the world, plenty of imbalances, plenty of things that are happening that you won't get any sort of blowback. I do believe that we are all connected on some level, but sometimes this is what you have to do. So that being said, a couple recommendations before we even talk about the book. I highly recommend, if you are in a situation where you feel your well-being is threatened, you take every action that you can to make yourself safe. You take every physical action, you get the authorities involved, you do whatever you can before you resort to something like this, because it can have effects that we don't know what it's going to be. It can definitely, stuff like this is very powerful. It works, and as long as you can feel okay with who you are and what your intentions, I think it's always better to try to charm your enemy, always better to build up your protection, always better to lead with compassion. There's a lot of different ways. Binding is a way, preventing them, but making them change their mind, influence, stuff like that, influence magic, concealment, there's a lot of different options. The cool thing about this book is these angels are intelligent, so the type of effects that it will have are basically kind of filtered through a couple things. Your genuine anger, disgust, wrath, those emotions that you generally feel, which typically arise in response to something. Typically when you get to this point and you're just fed up and you can't take it anymore, and you're afraid, or typically that doesn't happen in a vacuum. It means something is, in your reality that is affecting you that way. So I know I'm kind of rambling. It's just a serious topic. It's one that I maybe can count on, one hand, the amount of actually true enemies that I've had in my life that I consider like a true enemy, less than, only in very serious situations. I can't really, stress that enough, that this is not to like be petty. This is not to like make yourself feel better. This is stuff like this is only, in my opinion, and to each his own, used in extreme cases. So I do martial arts. I started doing martial arts when I was very young. I think that learning a martial art is very good for everybody. Learning how to physically defend yourself is good not only on the physical plane, but will help you on the astral plane. I do believe that. I've had dreams where the better I can actually perform in the physical reality, the better I perform in my dreams and in the astral world. So I definitely highly encourage everyone to find a martial art that you resonate with, that you think is cool in some sort of self-defense, and learn it. There's really no downside to learning something like that, learning how to defend yourself physically. I also recommend that before you are going to undertake something like this, that you use the form of divination that you're most comfortable with. For me, it's typically the I Ching. I use tarot once in a while. You can open up a page of the Bible, or Homer's Odyssey, whatever it is, whatever your pinging is from like the universe. Like, well, let me see what this says. I would definitely recommend doing a divination ritual before and after, to kind of get some feedback on what the overall theme is, what the atmosphere is, what the environment is in that which you find. I definitely recommend purifying yourself, going through your own purification process before, after. Whenever you're dealing with wrathful spirits, you don't want any sort of attachment or any sort of negative effect on you or your loved ones. So definitely cause no harm to myself and my loved ones is like standard. There's a book that it's not really a magic book, but if you're in a situation like that, I highly recommend you read it. It's called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. This is just a particular version. It is tried and true. Our military, I think it's in military colleges, or military has read it. A lot of branches of members I've heard of. It's studied in business. It's a very enlightened approach to warfare. That will teach you a lot from someone who is a strategist, someone who's seemed like a sage strategist. So highly recommend checking this out. Highly recommend picking up a martial art at some point in your life, learning how to physically defend yourself, learning what conflict, what conflict really is super important. As far as, any sort of negative effects on you, sometimes it's just a situation. You have to do what you have to do. You have to do it. Okay, so use your best judgment. Look at your ethical code. Figure out, am I going to be okay with doing this? Is this really that serious of a situation where I want to curse somebody? Just being angry with somebody and saying, forget that, has its own effect and does create some form of an energetic entity or intelligence that will, people call it the evil eye. Just you being angry and pissed off will have some effect on the object or the person or the situation that you're mad about. That's why it's also important to learn how to regulate your emotions, understand what these emotions really are. Don't let them control you, but also don't repress them. The whole topic. So get to know yourself. And when you know yourself, get to know your enemy, or who you think is your enemy. And a lot of times it may change your mind. You may make a different decision. Always look for wisdom. But all right, let's get into it. So it uses angels, and looks like they're mostly from the Sefer HaRazim, the Brit Manucha, and the Shorshei HaShemot. So some lesser known texts. There are rituals in this book for a couple different things, quite a few different things. They're like different layers of heavenly angels. Destroy defenses, bind your enemy, destroy their business, diminish their wealth, exile, bring illness, cause blindness, bring grief, silence them, confuse and disrupt, insomnia, a shield against fear. A lot of times our own fears get the best of us, and the Gallery of Magic has alluded to this, that the odds of you being attacked magically, a lot of people, it's their own paranoia, their own inner fears, but what's best for you, and only you can decide if this something is a real threat or not. And trust yourself. Wound, make judgment, spiritual blindness, harm and destroy. Even reading these, they're serious rituals. End a dispute. Punish an enemy, confuse them, triumph, cause memory loss, create anxiety, eliminate beauty, cause darkness, invalidate magic. So you get the gist of what's offered by this book. Again, I would always start with the least harmful, the least disruptive rituals: binding, confusion, ending your own fear, to some degree. It's an escalation ladder that you want to. If a gentle touch is enough to knock the building over, you don't need to bring a bulldozer. You know what I mean? A lot of times people who are not good people, or just are confused, that went through their own trauma, they'll regret it at some point. Typically self-reflection happens, but again, every situation is different. I don't want to give you like a catch-all or advice on what to do. You know what's best. If you're watching this channel and you're thinking about something like this, then so trust yourself. So yeah, start with the least harmful. There's no I'll leave it at that. So some really cool things, the process that it goes through to get ready is going through this period of meditation and stillness. It kind of goes through like, hey, where were you 15 minutes ago? Where will you be 15 minutes from now? Where were you yesterday? Where will you be tomorrow? Where were you a year? So it kind of gets you into that time space, that magical space, which is a pretty unique way of doing it in this book. Usual sigils, typical words of power, end a dispute. Hey, if that's gonna do it, that's gonna do it. It's got its own emotional transmutation, so you feel the disgust, the rage, the fear, whatever it is that drove you to this point, whatever it is that got you here. It has you feel it, and then again transmute it as if the result has occurred, whether that brings relief, peace, whatever it is. So it does take it, and I do believe there's certain governors or certain boundaries that are this ritual will be filtered through. So like the level of the reason for you doing this will cause the emotions, and the emotions will kind of filter back and cause a certain result depending upon how extreme and severe it is. And don't forget, like in my belief system, on a greater level, your enemy is a reflection of you. It is a part of you in some way, everything that you experience. Now in one level, that is not the case. That there are people who are not, like it's all things philosophical, and on that level, and we're all one kind of thing breaks down when you're in a 3D reality where there are really bad people doing really bad stuff and getting away with it. So I don't want to be like, oh, like, it's your fault, or it's you doing this to you, or none of that. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say, it's a serious topic, but you know what? If someone were to try to hurt me physically, the people that I love, the people that I care about, my dog, I would have no hesitation, and there's absolutely no second guessing defending them, defending myself when it comes down to it. So, yeah, if you're in a situation where you're forced to defend yourself, you defend yourself as best you can, of course, with whatever tools are available. A magical attack, is it traceable? Some people think yes, they can trace it back to you. It's very hard though, and that's one of the benefits of it, is a lot of people don't really believe in this thing. A lot of people don't understand the occult, the esoteric side of things, so they're not going to know, which is one of the benefits, is that you may leave an astral fingerprint at the scene, but should you let them know about the attack, what you're doing? Some people say yes, because it creates a sense of paranoia on their end that does some damage. I would say no. I would say no. Again, sometimes knowing that you can do these things, knowing that you have the abilities, is a deterrent not to. Like, some of the people who are the most effective, powerful martial artists are the least ones that are going to get into a fight, because they know they don't want violence. They understand. They know what they can do. They're not going to get riled up on little stuff. So work at getting yourself to that point where it's like, well, if a little gnat is bugging you, you're not, just get out of here, little gnat. It's not going to disrupt your day. But in some situations, you are legitimately a victim of some horrendous thing, and maybe the system has failed you. Maybe you've tried everything. Maybe you don't know what to do. You're in a horrible situation, and this is your way out. This is something that you're willing to try, and it's justified. It's justified. Only you can say that. You just have to be careful. You have to be okay with what you do, and then if there's any sort of guilt or shame or, hey, is there going to be this, just leave it alone for now. If you're, because sometimes that, even if it's that guilt or shame or fear, that will kind of wreak havoc on you, even if it's just your own stuff. Again, purify before, purify after, banish regularly, often. Again, you'll get to the point where if you can create, like, I maybe have had to use this book very rarely, again, maybe a handful of times early. I haven't had to use it in 3-4 years. But I'm glad I have it, and I'm glad that if I needed it, it's there. It's, again, even picking up and talking about it, you can kind of feel the energetic resonance of it, and that it's, a certain level. Okay, well, I probably rambled enough. And when I first, I'll say this, when I first started doing, on this path, third eye opened, I went through my awakening, or whatever you want to call it, I did perceive that I was under attack by a lot of stuff that I couldn't identify. I didn't understand, and it was very scary and very frightening. So initially I used the tools in my toolbox against stuff that I really didn't know the name. I really didn't know what level or what type of being. I just knew that there was something that was very, very bad, very powerful, and I needed help getting rid of it. So it does work on stuff that if you don't necessarily know where the issue is, if it's just like this general darkness or possession, whatever it is, whatever the thing is that you're dealing with, it does seem to be very effective if you have a strong magical link. If you are, the more you know about it, the closer you come in contact with, it's just kind of figuring out what that link is, using this stuff to kind of affect things on a larger scale. It can work, sometimes it doesn't. This stuff is powerful though, and it is real, and it's, I believe, going to be more important in the near future. People are going to realize that what's been going on behind the scenes, stuff has been used against us. We've been, to a large degree, lied to about who we are, what we're capable of, what this thing called reality is. I always lead with love. I always lead with compassion. I always forgive if I can. I always look for any other solution than to harm another being. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. It doesn't make me feel good. But sometimes, 1 in a million, it just has to happen. If I see a bug that's gotten trapped in our house, I'll do my best to take it outside and rescue it. Some bugs, but I believe that you all are good people too, and that you try to do the right thing, and that you are serious about your own self-discovery, and your awareness of yourself is such that people, from what I can tell, the people who watch this channel are very good people. So I appreciate you. I know I've kind of rambled. I wanted to take notes. Let me just make sure I didn't. Last thing, there's a book that I will do a review eventually called The Art of Magical Enchantment by The Order of Rose. And one of the beautiful things about what they do in this book is when you do an enchantment, part of that ritual is thinking of the benefit to the person. Your benefit, how do you benefit from this ritual? How does the person that you're trying to enchant benefit? And that, I think, is such a cool concept, because just if it's possible that you removing this person, this threat, this entity, this being from your life, it will give them some value in some way, because I'm sure they don't want to be doing it either. So take that for what you will. Really, okay. As this channel gets further along, we'll talk about more stuff that is a little bit more left-hand paths. I don't like using the term black magic, but I definitely want to discuss these things, because I think not discussing them and looking at them will have a worse effect than actually just saying, hey, this is, what are your thoughts, these are my thoughts. But I've tried to kind of steer this channel in a direction that I really want to talk about cool stuff, fun stuff, good stuff, beneficial stuff, like a ton of stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with like Stephen Greer, CE5, but like communicating with ancient civilizations. I started doing these hemisync tapes, the Monroe Institute, the Gateway Process. So much cool stuff. I love this stuff. I love the books. I love learning about it. I love the people who are learning about it. I didn't really have a formal teacher, so I had to learn a lot, pull from a lot of different teachers. But I think that's my spiel. Angels of Wrath, Gordon Winterfield. Use with caution. Purify before, purify after, divine, meditate, look into your heart, try everything else. It does work. It does have the benefit of working with some very powerful angels who will understand what the situation from a different perspective and mete out justice accordingly. not too hot, not too cold kind of thing. They're intelligent. They understand things from perspective, so there is a good deal of justice that goes into it. Check out The Art of War by Sun Tzu. It'll teach you a lot about combat, physical combat, strategic combat, magical combat, spiritual combat, from a very enlightened perspective, from someone who did understand a lot about nature, a lot about reality, a lot about life. It's a classic. Highly recommend it. Learn a martial art if you can. However, there's a lot of free stuff out there. Start somewhere. Start learning how to defend yourself physically. It will give you so many different benefits. I can't. That's a whole nother video. Yeah. Thank you for the recommendation. Thank you for the suggestion. I know this is a long video. I just wanted to make sure I kind of covered everything and give as much a disclaimer in my own experience. Another good topic that is definitely very, I'm looking for a word. I'm always looking for this word. Controversial. Controversial is like love, sex, seduction, magic. One of my subscribers asked for a list of books, and that's a very, very taboo topic. So I'm working on a video about that, because seducing someone through any means, magical or otherwise, persuasion, love, sex, there's a whole thing. So hopefully I didn't miss anything. Hopefully there's nothing important. That's why I wanted to do this ritual on a Wednesday, so I can communicate as best as possible for y'all. So I love you. Thank you for your attention, your time, the most valuable thing in the world. I really appreciate your suggestions. I appreciate your comments. It's awesome. I think I'm really, really excited about the future and really grateful for everyone who's been involved. So I'll get better at answering the comments in a timely manner. Sometimes I'm in my own space, just but I appreciate y'all. I hope you're doing well. I'm gonna get some sleep. I'll be back with a new video soon. I'll see you in the next one.